Welcome to the Max Jancar Show, essentially a collection of all the audio versions of my articles, as well as commentary and expansions I've done on their content. I hope you enjoy the listen. And if you want to go deeper into my process for getting back with an ex, consider grabbing my free reattraction cheat sheet. And if you want to go deeper into breakup recovery, consider grabbing my free recovery cheat sheet. These are simply one-page PDF documents full of tips and useful insights that you can implement right this second to reach your post-breakup goals. To get any of the two cheat sheets, visit maxjancar.com/sheets. That is maxjancar.com/sheets, as in a sheet of paper. And with that out of the way, let's get right into our episode. So hey there, this is Max Jancar, and this is a commentary and analysis of my article titled How to Get Your Eggs Back and Actually Keep Them. Basically what I'll do in this audio is I'll talk about the research, the ideas, and some of the fun facts that basically went into the creation of this article. So I hope you enjoy the listen. Now let's get right into the first thing, the intro for this article. The intro was a little bit long, in my opinion. If I would ever rewrite it, I would probably try to make it a little bit shorter, a little bit more punchier. But the idea was that I wanted to, straight out of the get-go, communicate that getting an ex back is not about what you say or what you do. It's really all about who you become, what kind of values you embody, what kind of identity you cultivate, and that I also wanted to communicate that all the other bullshit around, like the ninja tactics and playing hard to get, the pre-prepared messages, the handwritten letters, that all of those types of behaviors that they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, and they usually just blow up in a person's face. Because look, what an average person does when they're trying to get back with their ex is that, well, they learn all about these cool tactics and all, but they completely forget about actually investing in themselves, actually investing in their self-esteem, their emotional health, their lifestyle. And some, or in fact, most people, they don't even ponder on like, hey, why did my relationship fail? Why did I break up in the first place? Why did I got into a breakup in the first place? And so they never really address, nor of course overcome the underlying issues that essentially brought their relationship, their dead relationship, well, to being dead. So that's essentially what I wanted to communicate in the intro. Now, the first principle, if we move on a little bit, this is where I just wanted to cut through all the noise that you see on other articles on how to get an ex back. Like most articles on getting back an ex back, they communicate a bunch of these, like they talk about a bunch of these verbal games that you have to play with your ex, and they try to encourage you to try to impress your ex or hold back a little bit or kind of say what you want but not really. So I just said, you know what would be like a way healthier, more mature, emotionally mature approach to this. And I figured out, hey, wherever you are in the reattraction process, whether you like broke up a week ago, a year ago, whether you're the dumpy dumper or whatever, just tell your ex you want them back. Just tell them you still like them and you would like to date them again. And see how that goes. And of course, I also went deeper into the whole vulnerability shtick, which is basically that, sure, you can communicate how you still like your ex and everything, but you should also be prepared and okay with if they reject you or if you get literally no response back whatsoever. Now, if you want to know more about this first principle, this whole vulnerability thing, I really urge you go and check out the work of Brené Brown. That's essentially where I got all of these ideas from. And if we move on to principle number 2, move on with your life or apply the no contact rule. This is pretty generic in terms of how I define no contact rule. However, what is not so generic, what actually goes again against the conventional wisdom, and for very good reasons, is that I encourage you to make this no contact period indefinite, meaning the only time you will contact your ex and basically give them another chance with a date invite to rekindle things is if they contact you first, if they reach out first, if they initiate contact. Otherwise, you're just not going to pester them. And this got a lot of critique. This got a lot of critique from people who read those bullshit articles on the 30 and 60-day no contact rules or the 45-day no contact rules or whatnot. Look, I already wrote a bunch of articles on this website debunking the whole time-based or day-based no contact. It's basically bullshit. It's a marketing ploy. The truth is, people don't want to hear how they shouldn't contact their ex and how they should only give them a shot if they reach out first. Because it doesn't feel good, even though it's actually way more effective. It's way more in line with how attraction and human psychology works. But people are fucking stupid. People are stubborn. People are even hurt. So it's kind of understandable they want to hear what feels good. So, wait 30 days and then reach out to your ex with this templated happy reminder text or whatever your Brad Brownings and Chris Siders bullshit you with. And the truth is, the only reason also people encourage you, experts and coaches encourage you to be in no contact for a certain amount of days and then reach out is because it sells more ex-back programs, courses, books, whatever, than the opposite, which is just being truthful and saying you should move on after your breakup, after your ex dumped you, and you should only give them another shot, like I said, if they reach out first. Now, moving on to principle number 3. This one was the longest and probably most comprehensive principle in this article. A lot of research went into this. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you want to go deeper into the whole no contact thing, apart from having a bazillion articles on the topic on my website, there's a really good book by another blogger, Nathalie Lou, I think is her name. She has a book on no contact, and while a bit long-winded, a bit dull at certain points because it's accumulation of articles more so than a coherent book, it's still really good, a really good resource that I urge you go check out. But anyway, principle number 3, investing in yourself. This one was ginormous. I essentially wanted to encapsulate my entire philosophy around self-improvement in these, 2,000 words or so. Some parts of this were more obviously well received than others. For some reason, a lot of people found the whole shtick, the whole thing on calming yourself down, journaling, meditation, gratitude practices, therapy, pain engagement. They found it very boring, although it does help a lot. And the one that people actually liked the most is the part on raising your self-worth and lowering your neediness. Now, this is a very interesting thing here, because first of all, if you want to go deeper into my take on self-worth and neediness, you should definitely go and check out my article on the inferiority gap, as well as my article on neediness on my website. But to give you some context here, I basically got all of those good, all of the sources that essentially make up this section on self-worth and neediness. They come from a old men's dating book from my all-time favorite author, the person I'm actually trying to emulate in terms of business model, Mark Manson. And the book is called Attract Women Through Honesty. Models Attract Women Through Honesty. Don't let the name fool you. By the way, it's a book targeted towards men, and it feels pick-uppy and stuff. It's not. It's really about developing a sturdy emotional foundation and becoming more mature. And I urge you, even if you're a lady on the other side, go and read that book. I think you're going to get a lot from it. So yeah, I think that's enough said on the third section. Now the fourth one is it's not exciting. It wasn't that well received. Most people skipped through it. Although I personally think it's probably one of the more important sections in this article. It essentially gives you a mental model you can adopt, a set of questions you can ask yourself to really figure out if your ex is a good fit for you, if they are actually compatible. If you perhaps skipped this section, I urge you, go back, go read it, really try to be as objective as you can about it. I know you don't want to hear that you shouldn't get back with your ex. I know you don't want to hear that you're incompatible, that your ex is toxic and you shouldn't try to have anything serious with them. I know this is painful, but believe me, if you can get a clear answer whether or not that's the case or not, you're gonna get so much further, not only in reattraction, not only in attraction in general. You're gonna get so much further in simply being an adult who is comfortable with sacrifices and postponing the immediate pleasure for, well, long-term fulfillment. Also, to point out a part that actually was kind of influential in this section on determining whether your ex is for you or not, the rule of fuck yes or no. I also wrote a separate article about this rule called, well, I think it was like the rule of fuck yes or no. It was pretty popular, and it's basically just a remix of a article of the blogger and businessman Derek Sivers, which goes by the name Hell Yes or No. The concept is really simple. Basically, if something isn't a hell yes when you think about it, it's a hell no. And that's essentially the mental model I adopted into reattraction. So you can essentially ask yourself at any point like, hey, I don't know if my ex is compatible. Therefore, it's a fuck no for getting back together because you're not sure. If you're unsure, for example, that your ex is healthy and mature, again, it's a fuck no for giving them another shot. That's the bare bones idea of this law, and there's a bunch of other ways you can leverage it, not only in reattraction, but like throughout any area, virtually any area of your life. Now moving on to principle number 5, this is where things got like really practical. A lot of people also liked it because it essentially talks about how to set a date with an ex, how to respond or reply to your ex if they commit to a date, if they don't commit to a date, and if they give you some bullshit wishy-washy answer in return. Again, I also approached this section through the lens of, okay, what is the healthiest approach to getting your ex on a date out there? And I didn't want to copy just every other ex-back article out there. Of course not. So what I figured out is that a healthy approach to setting a date with an ex would be an approach where you don't force them to make a decision. An approach where not only do they need to contact you first or be receptive to your statement of interest to be able to start to initiate it, would be a good term for it, I think. Even when they initiate it, you still should be in the mindset of, I don't need you, my life is fine, and you should work on actually making it fine and making it fulfilling, and then not being afraid to reject your ex if they are uncommittal, I think is the word for it, to the date, or if they simply don't want to see you in a romantic sense, if they perhaps only want to see you as like a friend or something, which I also argued extensively in this article is just a horrible way to approach reattraction. You're not going to rekindle any relationship by being friends first with your ex. I'm sorry, like whoever tells you otherwise is so full of shit that their eyes are brown. Now, the dating section in general was completely based on the philosophy of the book I mentioned earlier, Models Attract Women Through Honesty, as well as Mate, the Max Tucker book on dating, as well as the experience I got from coaching people on this specific topic, which is a very popular topic to be coached on over the 5 years. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I actually do one-on-one coaching, and I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I got a lot of people there, women and men, whose main issue was getting their ex on a date. And this section is basically the accumulation of knowledge and insights that I got from all of those coaching sessions and all of those, well, conversations I had with people. Now moving to the principle 6. In this section, first of all, to be very clear, this section is very much based on a book called Attached by Amir Levine, on a book also called 7 Principles That Make a Marriage Work by John Gottman. Those are my go-to books on building and maintaining healthy relationships. Now this section really isn't all that special. It's one of the shorter ones in this article. However, there is one aspect or one section of the section that I would like to point out, which is the whole thing on always be willing to end your relationship. Now this is a very controversial idea. Again, some people hate it, other people love it. I stand by it fully. I think it's paramount to, well, not just reattraction, but simply having a good and healthy and mature romantic life in general. And the idea is that your relationship is not a failure if it ends. It also isn't a success if it stands the test of time. And my argument was that sometimes it's simply way healthier for two peoples to break up than simply stay together, treat each other like shit, suppress their needs, alter their identity, and become miserable in the process. Now, why the massive emphasis on this point? Because I have certain familial relationships and certain friendships in my life where I can see this dynamic play out very clearly. Two people, their relationship is basically, it ran its course, it got boring, it got unfulfilling, the people in them, in their relationships, are not compatible really anymore, and it's just a miseryville. And it's not nice to see. It's not a good sight to behold. I don't want anyone to really go down that route. And of course, after I've talked about all the principles, I closed off with the section on the harsh truths no one tells you about getting back with an ex. Now, this was by far the most popular part of my ex-back article. People adored it. People shared it on Reddit and Instagram and Facebook and all kind of good stuff. Certain bloggers reached out and told me how smart I am and gave me a bunch of compliments, which, thank you, by the way. I'm not that smart, but thank you. But yeah, the mindset about this section was I wanted to take every popular theory and every popular idea that festers in our get back with an ex industry, and I wanted to turn it on its head. I wanted a controversial take, but a take that actually has substance, that's actually more correct than the other takes out there. And I think that I've pulled it off pretty well in this section. So yeah, that's my commentary on my article, How to Get Your Ex Back and Actually Keep Them. To kind of quickly list out again all the resources if you didn't catch them perhaps, go and read 7 Principles That Make a Marriage Work by John Gottman. Go and read Attached by Amir Levine. Go and read Mark Manson, Models Attract Women Through Honesty, Max Tucker, Mate, Everything by Brene Brown, No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover, No Contact by Emily Liu, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden, and you can also go and check out Boundaries by Henry Cloud. This is a book I haven't mentioned yet. It's a really good book. However, I hope it's full of religious prattle and religious comments and quotes and stuff. It's basically a book catered to Christians. I personally hated that aspect because I'm just not religious, and it was just a big turn off when I read it. However, even if you ignore all the religious stuff in there, the essence of the book, the lessons of the book, how to build boundaries, how to assert boundaries, how to stick to your boundaries, it's brilliant. It's a really, really great guide on boundary formation. That also inspired my article, by the way, on boundaries. But that's a story for another one of these audio episodes or whatever you want to call them. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this and take care. Hello there, this is Max again. Just one more thing before you take off. If you want to go deeper with my process for getting an ex back, consider grabbing my free reattraction cheat sheet. And if you want to go deeper into breakup recovery, consider grabbing my free recovery cheat sheet. These are simply one-page PDF documents full of tips and useful insights that you can implement right this second to reach your post-breakup goals. So to get any of the 2 cheat sheets, just visit maxjancar.com/sheets. That is maxjancar.com/sheets, as in a sheet of paper. With that out of the way though, thank you for tuning in and take care.